Hello everyone, this is Big Benedict. We're playing Batman Arkham Origins on hard difficulty, and this is part 5 of my guide. So this is called Pursuing Cobblepot, but he is not going to be in the video. He will eventually appear, but there's going to be a lot of videos in between then and now, and the next video will probably be titled Streets of Rage because there's going to be a lot of street brawls. So up ahead we have a cutscene with the thugs. And this first fight took me probably an hour to do earlier because I was struggling to get a really satisfactory take, and it's just a hard fight, bottom line. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more hard fights in this game, but as you can see, that little tip right there told you can do a dive bomb attack from the air. It's not as desirable as doing this move that I'm going to show you how to do up here, where you do the L2 plus triangle move in the air, because with that move you can eliminate an enemy. With the dive bomb, he just will literally just dive bomb the enemy, and then they'll be resting on the ground and the thug won't get eliminated. So the orange guy is the one you want to target because he has the gun. Any guy in orange has the gun. So what happens always is, see, bam, he's gone. I don't know if Batman actually kills him or not. I don't think Batman kills people, but that attack is just crucial to do because, number one, that guy was the one guy in this crowd holding the gun, so you could have come on down here and tried to take that guy out. And the second thing is, once you do that attack and pounce on the guy and just spring on him from the air, what happens is everybody else around you gets in a frenzy, not knowing what's going on, and they kind of stumble and they take time to attack you. So it's been like that in all the games. Maybe not the first one, but definitely the second one, because I wouldn't have known about that technique. But this is just a really tough fight because until you space out the enemies, they're all going to be clustering around you. So like, the one thing I've always thought about this game is that you could do the counter spam. I mean, if you wanted to, you could do nothing but press the triangle button to win. The fight would be very long, and it would take a long time for enemies to get killed, but you could. And that's what I've always thought, like, the one problem was with the combat. The one little loophole where people could exploit it, but if you're doing that, you're obviously not any good at this game. So there was a dive bomb right there, and you see the guy has stars around his head. If I had done the L2 plus triangle, and then no, that would have been it. No, because what happens is he springs on the enemy, and then you press L2 plus triangle to jump on him, and then just take him out for good. So that's much more desirable than doing the dive bomb, although the latter is cooler, but it's not going to net you an immediate victory over your enemies. So here's another fight down here, and they're all in blue silhouettes, so that means none of them are armed. So I'm going to come on down here and take care of this guy. See, I don't know why that guy... Okay, I must have not gone for the kill, but I could have. Definitely could have. But some of these fights, they're in such close quarters. That's what I was... the tangent I was mentioning a minute ago. If you're in a big cluster of enemies, you probably don't have much choice but to hit, counter, and maybe hit, counter. But don't underestimate the counter, and just don't feel like you're ever going to succeed by just keeping to that square button attack. I mean, because that is the only direct attack. I mean, there's a counter attack and other things, but I mean, you really have to go with the ebb and flow of the battle, and also realize that if you're punching, sometimes the enemies are going to strike you if you're not getting, if you're just screwing up the rhythm of the fight. So here's another fight. This is going to be the final fight of this video. Try to pounce on guys from that are farther away from you, ideally, because that way the other guys are going to take longer to run over to you, and then by that time you could possibly subdue an enemy. So sometimes I do miss pressing the triangle and O finishing move, because sometimes if you do it, I've always hated that about these games, because you'll lose it if you don't because if you're going for a guy and he's on the ground, or if he's just going on the ground, sometimes Batman, he won't do that takedown, then you lose it. I've always thought that was pretty unfair to accumulate that special takedown and then you lose it because you didn't press the buttons, or you press the buttons right, but it just kind of a bad luck situation happened where the enemy was down, or maybe you moved the analog stick in the wrong direction. But these games are challenging and just really fun. And it's just kind of debatable, you know, New Game Plus, would that be more difficult? I personally don't think it would be, because I know when to counter. I don't need to see the blue lines over their heads. But that would have meant that I needed to clear the game. So anyway, what we're going to do here, I actually had the flight controls for the Batarang inverted, so I was messing with this for a while and it wasn't working, and then I realized, oh, okay, the damn thing was inverted. But here it's got a nice little target for you. I don't think that was in Batman Arkham City, but all you needed to do there was throw the Batarang through the electricity, generate a spark, and then that will short out the fuse circuit that was holding that door back. And then once we go in here, we're going to do a puzzle with the cryptographic sequencer. And you have to have because in order to know where you're supposed to move the dial, you have to have the rumble motors on. But I suppose you could do it without those. But they do go towards the source of the sound. So here's another conversation with the Riddler. And I believe I left this in.
What you're doing is no different than stealing. There's nothing refined about it.
So anyway, that'll be the end of the video, and the next video will be the Streets of Rage video that I promised. And looks like they pronounced that word right, banal. I was thinking they would say banal, but this game knows its stuff, and they really redid their research about this game. Okay, next puzzle. That's why I left this in, because we need to do this puzzle here, which all it involves is moving the circles onto one another and then holding down the X button. And then there's going to be a slight conversation with Alfred.
Yeah, if I was involved in that, I'd be on my way out of the city.
And then he will give us the next waypoint. But in between then, we're going to do a bunch of brawls, so stay tuned for some heavy hitting in the next video.